Today, what are you today? Today, we're going to talk about how to position yourself as a leader in 20 minutes or less.
Wouldn't you like to position yourself as a leader? It's actually a little bit easier than you think. Or should we say it's simple but not easy? It's actually easier than you think.
No one's born a leader.
No one's born a leader, but you kind of are given the job to lead yourself.
Right. So let's just start.
Let's just start.
Definition of a leader.
Very good.
Is the person who leads or commands a group, an organization, or a country. So we all know big leaders like Elon Musk and Richard Branson and the President of the United States.
Sarah Blakely.
She's an awesome leader.
Oh,
but do you know that every one of you is a leader?
We are. Every one of us is a leader. You are too.
Yeah. You
lead you.
And your family.
And your family and whoever else. If you have teammates, if you have, yeah. But really it starts with you, which I think is kind of the neat feature on this. You show up as a leader by showing up as a leader in your own life. So if you start and really like take that on and grasp it, and that's a huge start. So why don't you kick off with some of the ways that we can become leaders? So we've defined leadership.
So many ways to be a leader. Anyway, so who are some of the other leaders in your mind? We talked about Sarah Blakely. We talked about Richard Branson.
Those are like business leaders or leaders in life, right? We've who else would you consider a leader?
He's one of the greatest leaders of all time.
Tell me.
George Washington.
He was a pretty ballsy.
This guy had the ability. He basically started a country, and he could have led it in any direction, and he chose
to do it in a
he chose to do
it in a very sensible democratic way, which was unusual, very unusual at the time.
And you know how many 200 and some years later, there's 330 million of us living underneath his umbrella of what he created. Kind of cool.
Go George Washington.
And a little known fact that we live about 3 miles from where all that started.
Just about to say that.
At Valley Forge National Park, right down the street from us. Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get really right into it. So,
how can I show up as a leader?
You can start by using your knowledge.
Okay.
Number one.
I'll start by using my knowledge. So this is where I take an inventory of my knowledge?
Oh, no. I'm going to share with you what we do with this knowledge.
Well, tell me
number one, read daily. Business books, current topics, Berkshire Hathaway, what's his name?
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett spends 2 hours a day reading. You believe that? One of the richest guys in the world. What makes you think what makes you think he's so rich? And it's the reading.
It's not because he watches Netflix.
He might though.
He might,
but
that's after he probably. That's after he does his reading.
He has a piece.
Well, and here's the cool thing about reading: it doesn't cost much. Like, really, like the business books you're buying are not excruciating. You know, they're not budget busters. They're probably, and you're catching your news, which you're probably grabbing off your phone. Yeah. You're just keeping aware of what's going on in the world, and you're maybe looking a little bit further into a few topics.
Yeah.
So,
and reading gives you the opportunity to engage in small talk. Listen, I can't talk today. Small talk.
I like small talk.
I actually read something really cool this morning.
What'd you read? Because you read every morning.
I read constantly, and I just always have.
I play solitaire.
Let me think about this. I just read. The most important question you can ask someone of authority, maybe a billionaire, a millionaire, a head of a company, how did you get in this position? And they will be free to share with you. Even if you were to ask Michael Jordan, how did you become the greatest basketball player of all time? Everybody loves to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
And they'd love to share that story.
That's cool.
Isn't it?
I like that idea too, because if you want to become a leader or more of a leader in your life or in your job or in whatever you're doing, to ask somebody else how they did it is exactly what you should do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
you're gonna love who I heard that from.
Who did you hear that from?
Glenn Stearns.
Oh, I love Glenn Stearns.
He's an awesome guy.
He is a very cool guy.
I
like Glenn. Hi, Glenn.
The second thing you do for your knowledge, sign up for training.
Yes.
Personally, Ashley and I, when the pandemic hit, we were lost. We have a business that does events in person. I have 7 businesses that do events in person. I was prepared for anything.
We kind of went into panic mode.
Except for not being able to meet in person.
Like, oh, didn't see that coming. Yeah.
We jumped into training a month into the pandemic in April of 2020. We jumped into training and we haven't stopped because it has come back to us. Multiples of time, resources, and money spent in the training. I can't, whatever it is you're looking to advance your life on, shorten your learning curve.
Well, no, that's also good. I mean, it's obviously great to do training in your profession, but it's also great to do training in just other areas. So a new language, if it's something that you've always kind of had on your bucket, like, I always wish I could just go to Paris and be able to speak French. Like, okay, well, learn French, get yourself into some training.
Well, I mean, when we went to Germany,
right?
I
he
started,
was Mr. Were you on Battle? What was it?
Duolingo.
Okay.
Duolingo.
Sorry.
I studied the German language, and I realized that really the most important thing I had to do was be able to read a menu. So I started learning all the words.
We did have lots of schnitzel. It was good.
I learned all the words and the different things and how to order and stuff like that. And I felt comfortable and was able to communicate.
Yeah. So besides learning another language, even learning something like to bake or a new skill. Well, okay, that's a little bit different. We'll talk about that later. But a new software, if you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I could just master this software. Well, take a little extra time and do it. It probably won't take as long as you think it will. And the mastery that you'll feel and the confidence that you'll have will make you feel like more of a leader and show up as more of a leader.
Yes. All right.
What's the next one?
Number 3.
Bring it.
Browse during breaks. What does this mean? So think of these great leaders in the world. Do you think Elon Musk, when he's waiting for his plane to be pulled over from FBO, he's just sitting there going, watching.
He's not playing solitaire.
He's not playing solitaire or watching cat videos. No, no.
I figured he's probably tweeting somebody.
Yeah, he's probably tweeting somebody. He's checking in, seeing what's going on in the world. I mean, you get some breaking news. Elon Musk is right there to comment on it because he's keeping abreast of what's going on in the world. There's micro moments of finding out what's going on from your phone. I mean,
so when you're standing in line at the grocery store,
this device right here is probably the most important gadget in the last 20 years.
Train.
Yeah.
Any of those moments where you just have like a couple of minutes, I personally check the weather frequently just to make sure I'm not about to get soaked. But
we're gonna have a few of those moments. We're traveling.
In just a few minutes.
We're traveling right after the broadcast. We're traveling, so we're going to do that.
So take every opportunity you can to learn something.
All right. Number
Next.
4.
Yes.
Take a course.
Ooh.
This is different than training.
Okay.
Taking a course is sort of a formal education course. Finish your degree. Get your MBA. I don't have my MBA, and I was the other day. I'm right across the bridge, and I had get your MBA in 10 months and. For $9,900, I'm just like, wow, that sounds like a challenge. Maybe I'll do that. I got an extra 3 or 4 hours in the week. I gotta crank that out.
There you go. From apparently those moments where you're looking at your phone.
Yeah. So anyway, that's really that's one of the things. Number 5. Let's get along with this. Number 5. Consult an expert. I'm getting so much better in this. We run the companies. We're constantly breaking into new ground. We're constantly doing new things. I sometimes get mired, is the right word, in the details.
Yeah, that's a good word.
So
and I think too, may I interject for a second? Just like sometimes we feel as just people, as normal, that we feel like we have to have all the answers, that we're supposed to know everything. But if you look at true leaders, they're asking. They're asking the folks on the front line. They're asking the folks within their management. They're asking folks all the time, how's this going for you? What would you change if you could? What do you need to do your job better? So I think that aspect of consulting an expert is perfect because it shows that you're willing to be coached. It shows that you're willing to learn what you need to learn to be a leader.
Yeah, absolutely. And last week, I had a situation last week. We had a security issue with one of our websites, and I can fix this. And then, 10 minutes into it, I'm like, no. I have no idea what I'm doing. So I reached out to my experts. I reached out to my experts at
somebody else knows how to
I'll give
do
a shout
this.
out. Reached out to my experts at First Direct, and they took care of it. I said, yeah, how much is it going to cost? Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
The experts took care of it. And they showed me what was wrong. Not that I want to fix it myself in the future, but they showed me what was wrong.
I got it. Which segues really well into number 6, which is shadow a star employee or person you're interested in learning from. Again, if you're going to show up as a leader, you don't have to know everything, but you have to know where the resources are, right?
Yeah.
So being able to shadow and really watch and understand how somebody does their job, how somebody does a certain task, puts you again in a position you don't have to learn how to do it, but you need to have an understanding of how to do it so that you can better lead from where you are.
So for me,
yes.
when I was here's a funny story. I wanted my own business. I wanted to be the boss of a company. I wanted to own the company from the moment that I could talk. You know, people had a lemonade stand at 5 years old. I started the circus. You know, people, I was always buying, sell stuff. But at 14 years old, at 12 years old, we moved into a new home, and we went to, I'm going to really date myself. It used to be called Builders Square. Now it's Home Depot. And they almost have the same logo these days. You look back, and they were going to buy, my mother was picking up names for our doors, the thing you did in the 70s.
Okay.
And
for your bedroom door?
Yeah, for a bedroom door. Okay. So I picked out, I didn't get Gus, which was a hard name. I got manager on my door, right? So, but when I turned 21, and I started a real business at 14, and I had on and off businesses for a few years. But like at 21, I started hanging out with people who were business owners. My uncle had a very successful business. One of my closest friends had a pretty good size restaurant. And then I had an opportunity to shadow someone, be mentored by someone in the boat industry, which led me to opening up my car business. But each one of those, by hanging out with these people, and I was young, and they were not much older. Maybe they're probably 10, 15 years old. I was 30 years older than me. I would say, you know, when something happened, like, what happens when we have to fire somebody? What do you do?
Show me.
And little did I know I was learning.
Yeah.
You know, all along the way, like, hey, what happens if you run out of inventory? Who do you call? What do you do about this? What do you do with your money at the end of the night? You know, how much money should you make on this? And I just kept asking all these questions. And I did this for 4 or 5 years. Instead of like hanging out at the bars and stuff like that, what my friends were doing, there was no internet. I hung out with business owners. I hung out with people like that. It's kind of funny because we still hang out with business owners. We still learn from them.
Because they understand us, because we understand them, because we are them.
Yeah.
We are they. But kind of funny because it's not specifically sort of pointed out in what we're talking about, but you just gave a perfect example of just being naturally curious. So if there's a bonus point in this, it's being naturally curious, asking lots of questions. What does this mean? How does this work? What do you do if and when? Gives you the opportunity to learn. And again, it gives you a better sense of the full picture so that you can show up as a leader, position yourself as a leader.
And the world needs more leaders.
It sure does.
And leaders, here's a secret. If leaders being morally correct, being a right person.
Be ethical.
Be ethical, that's it. That's the word I'm looking for. If somebody being ethical, they want you to be a leader. They want you to be the best version of yourself. Ashley and I want you to be the best version of yourself. It's your duty, responsibility, and obligation to be the best version of yourself all the time and give back to the world. I mean, that's a big part of that.
Absolutely. And the more you show up as a leader, the more, people appreciate that, right? And it gives them permission to step into their leadership more easily than sometimes that weird feeling that kind of holds us back, like, oh, I don't want to show up like I'm showing up, but it's a good thing. So
it's cool.
Lean into
it. An example this week of a friend of ours just landed a pretty big deal, and she's been chasing this for like 15 years, and now as you become a leader and you move up, you also have more responsibilities. So now she has some more responsibilities, and I just said, hey, remember, this is your dream, and these little challenges you're going to face are part of your dream, and if you accomplish them properly, you're going to get bigger opportunities, and your dream's going to flourish even more beyond what you think.
Right,
and that's part of being a leader.
it's a little scary because these are steps that
It's always scary.
she's just never faced before, right? Which is part of growth. So you're going to you're going to be faced with situations that either you have been, either you shied away from them before, but now's your opportunity to step in and go for it. So
be careful of the traps.
There are traps.
There are tons of traps, and
Okay.
the traps usually look like your best friends, your parents, your family, your kids saying, "You can't do that. Don't be getting bigger than us. Don't do." And there'll be a lot of those people beating on you until you get to the
Change is uncomfortable.
until you get higher up.
It's uncomfortable for you, but it's uncomfortable for the people around you. So when you're ready to lean in and step up, make sure that you have people who have your back, who are cheering you on.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're going to hear like, "I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to do it. What are you doing all that for? Isn't your life good enough the way it is?" They're speaking more for themselves than for you. So what's another
coworker? Well, I'm going to say coworkers are a big one too. If you're following along with us and you're trying to get a leadership position, don't not take the position because of the responsibility or what your coworkers might think of you or your friends might think of you, because it'll lead to bigger and better things, and not to mention usually more money.
Yeah.
Which is,
and it could be better for your colleagues too. I mean, if you take that next step, though, you'll be in more of a leadership role. You'll be in an opportunity to help them.
All right. So we just talked about the knowledge side of things. Let's jump over to the skills side of things.
Skills.
What can you do with the skills you already have? Mad skills. What can you do with your mad skills you already have to show up more like a leader? One thing we're not talking about? We're not talking about bossing people around. We're not talking about telling people what to do.
Yeah, we're not talking about being shitty.
That's not leadership.
It's not.
That's management. And if you have good leadership, you don't need management.
It's not good management. I mean, the whole point is, if you're showing up as a leader, you're taking leadership of yourself, and you're taking, you're helping other people become better at being themselves. Right? You're giving them the opportunity to be better at leading themselves and leading the situation. So that's true leadership. True leadership is helping the people who are around you and being of service to them, not pushing your own power play on whatever.
Yeah, true.
Right?
So getting back to skills. Number one, take responsibility. Prove that you can be trusted. When you have a task handed to you, or assignment, or you're delegated to do something, get it done in the way you said you were going to. If you run into an obstacle, let the person know that you're running into an obstacle. That's leadership. Like, hey, if you're a window installer, I promise you I'd have those windows next week. The manufacturer did not get me the windows. And being proactive on that and saying, hey, jumping ahead, like, hey, I don't think we're going to be able to do this. We'll keep you posted, or something like that.
Yeah, communicating is huge. And certainly I think anybody who's ever traveled, especially air travel, likes to know, like, okay, if my flight's going to be delayed, I'd like to know about it from my airline, right? Hey, folks, there's a little bit of a delay. And I've seen a stark difference between different airlines in their amount of communication to their customers, and the ones that communicate more and maybe feel like they're over communicating are the ones that get higher customer satisfaction, because I like to just know, right? Just tell me what's going on. I'm good. But yeah, take responsibility, communicate, prove that you can be trusted, which is a huge part of that. So develop a reputation for completing those assignments. That's like an integrity thing too, like doing what you say you're going to do.
One of the things that I've taken in, and one of our mentors,
yes,
2 weeks ago, I don't think you saw the clip. She said, finish every day what you promised you were going to do.
Yes.
If you're going to review, you have something to review, you have a proposal to get out, you have an email to answer. Don't leave your desk until you finish that. If you have all the ingredients to finish it, sometimes you're waiting on a key piece of information. If not, say, hey, I don't have all the information.
I'm waiting on a key piece of information, but I haven't forgotten about you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. That shows absolute excellent leadership, right? Because you're just being communicative. Yep. I like that.
All right, let's go to number 2.
This is a good one. Document your accomplishments. What does that mean?
It was interesting because we have someone at the Next Advanced Conference speaking about this.
Ooh.
I don't want to mention her.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I have permission to mention her.
Never mind.
But we have someone who has spoken for us many times over the last 6-7 years that is going to talk about measurement and documentation of,
Yes.
of your life and your accomplishments. Write down your victories, your accomplishments,
So
even your failures.
I was going to say, it might sound a little weird writing down my accomplishments. I've done this. I'm so great. But what's really important there is that you're keeping your own list of this, which is important because sometimes we get so busy with what we haven't done, we don't take a moment to go, oh, I got that done.
We were
check that off the list, and
Yeah.
I accomplished this. And even in the steps of writing that accomplishment down, to even put sort of a value to it, like this helped move the business forward today, or this helped a client say yes, and now we have this, $3,000, $10,000, $20 million piece of business. Like, have that measurement there so that you're in a position later to go back and say, oh, look.
Here's the other thing. I mean, it builds your confidence. It gives you strong. We were talking. I was in a meeting last night. We were discussing. Your mind doesn't know the difference between a positive thing or a negative thing. So
when you say not something, it doesn't see not. It just sees
something. Yeah.
So
I'm not going to fail. I'm going to fail. There's no difference. I'm going to succeed.
Yes. So that's why it gets annoying. It's a sort of a trick of the brain. But if you're starting to say like your affirmations and what you're going to do today and who you are, and instead of saying I'm not weak, you want to say I'm powerful. Because your brain doesn't know not, it knows weak. So show up as what you want to say. Use the words that you want to show up as.
One of our billionaire mentors, right when he has a tough day or something that did not go his way, he turns right back. He grabs his pad of paper. And he writes down his goals.
Writing down his goals.
Writes down his goals again and again and again, because that reaffirms why he's doing what he's doing and how things can get tough and stay on top of it.
And things can pull you aside. We get distracted all the time. We have a ton of events going on. We have emails. We have notifications going off. We have kids. We have people, calling us, emailing us, all sorts of things. And this is normal for everybody, right? So it's a matter of just making sure you're keeping your focus where it needs to be so that you're constantly moving forward.
Cool.
You like
what next?
that? I like this one. Number 3 is express enthusiasm. There's nothing like having a really big, amazing goal or even just a goal. But if you're not enthusiastic about it, do you really think it's going to happen? If your own body language isn't like heightened and excited and that you're 100%, 150% behind something, how are you supposed to sell this idea or this product or this service if you yourself aren't enthused by it? And certainly in any matter of leadership, right? You're in a situation where you're leading people to something. You're leading people through a situation to get to a better situation. You need to have enthusiasm and you need to show it.
And enthusiasm comes out is also, I know a lot of people working in sales, and then they might be a manager or leader working the floor, and walks over to, hey, Ashley, you're doing a great job today. I heard the way you're hitting that phone. What happened last night? I was on a call, and 2 weeks ago I was on the same call, and I got done the call, and the gentleman who runs the call is, when I got done, Ashley's like, he's really good at that.
So, I could just hear his enthusiasm. He was very direct with like, hey, you guys are doing a great job. He was very specific, and just kind of, keep up the good work. But again, it was just a moment of both expressing, he expressed enthusiasm, and it showed, and I mean, I felt it, and I wasn't even part of the call. I was sitting over there.
Practice spontaneous enthusiasm.
Spontaneous enthusiasm. Okay,
go to the store. You're like, dude, you're doing a great job.
Might freak a couple people out,
yeah.
But you know what you'll get is a smile. Not enough, people get very into their routines. They're getting a little quiet. They're kind of like, oh, I've got my ear pods in and I'm not really listening. I'm having a conversation, but it's on my phone, not with people like in the world.
Be so enthusiastic. People turn when you walk into a room.
That's energy.
That's
That's leadership.
Yes.
That's leadership energy.
Leadership, and keep doing that until you no longer have to introduce yourself when you walk into a room.
Here's the coolest thing too.
What's that?
Attitude and enthusiasm doesn't cost a thing. It's something that just you generate. It doesn't take that much time either. And yet it's a wonderful investment, and it makes you feel better. It makes you show up as a leader. It makes you feel seen as a leader.
You know what's really cool? Something that happened that just happened to me on Saturday night.
Happened.
I was away, and guy out of the blue comes running. Hey, you're Gus. I see you on these shows and stuff like that. So at that moment, he's enthusiastic to see me. I might be in some other world of my mind, but I have to be like, hey, good to see you, Ed. Cool. Thanks for saying hi. But that enthusiasm is infectious.
Another piece of that is to speak kindly to people. You know, there's so many opportunities where we hear a lot of negativity. We see a lot of potential road rage situations where people are not so gracious toward one another. Another thing that doesn't really cost anything, and yet I think produces massive dividends.
Mm-hmm.
It's just be kind.
All right. Number 4 on the
Yes.
skill building and what you can do with no other skills than you already have.
Yes.
Take initiative. Right?
Yeah.
What's that mean?
Absolutely. It means go that extra mile. It means take that extra step. You know, you're in the middle of a service situation. Go 2 or 3 steps further and make sure that the person that you're helping actually gets value from or gets the answer that they need. What's another example?
Volunteer for whatever, being volunteer in your area, volunteer. Hey, if you see somebody, I do this all the time. Open the door for someone. You see somebody having a problem, or they're especially mothers with the stroller, mothers with the stroller and the backpack,
and another kid in tow. It's like, just open the door.
Hey, can I grab that bag for you?
My son to open the door for people.
Can I grab that bag for you?
Absolutely.
Can I help you with that?
Yeah.
Then you want to go.
Be helpful.
Want to go one step further?
Yes.
Pay for the person behind you's groceries, or pay for their coffee, or pay for their something.
That's nice.
And it makes you feel good.
It makes you feel good. It makes them feel good, right?
I did that one time.
You don't know. Just once? Just kidding. We could.
What
happened?
So last year, this is a good story. So last year,
of course it is.
Our accountant calls me up.
Just gonna use this example.
Yes, our accountant calls us up and says, "How did you guys spend whatever it was, $75 at In-N-Out Burger?" Now, on the East Coast, we don't have In-N-Out Burger. On the West Coast, we have In-N-Out Burger.
That's why it's such a treat.
It's basically McDonald's, but super fresh and just real. It's an experience all on its own. I can't explain. Anybody who's been to an In-N-Out Burger knows what I'm talking about.
So easy explanation. We were in Vegas.
I was Vegasing.
Another noun down the toilet.
I was acting like a Vegas person and had a tourist. And I had it. I have indulged in the local brew, and we walked into In-N-Out Burger.
As one does in Vegas.
As one does in Vegas at whatever night we should have been in bed, and I bought the entire place. Food.
Burgers for everyone.
Burgers for everybody.
In-N-Out for everybody.
In-N-Out for everybody. And
yeah.
Just sat there. Yeah, ring it up, put it in my car, boom.
Sort of forgot about it until the accountant brought it up, but that was now it's a great story.
Yeah.
Right?
So hey, we're talking about. You know what? I genuinely felt good that day.
Absolutely. I felt good about you doing that because it was only $75. And didn't do it in a steakhouse. But you know what? What another cool thing? It's just nice. It's a nice gesture. It doesn't cost a lot of money. You could really help. You probably helped a couple people out that night, either like have less of a hangover or just. Could have been out there and been hungry. We had someone do it for us for a lot more money. Oh yeah.
We were in Orlando on a layover at the bar, and we drank with these people all night long, drank and ate. I know our bill was $165 or more that night without the tip.
It probably was.
And this gentleman picked up the entire bar.
He did.
He picked up.
He said, "Just put it all on my tab."
6 or 8 couples there, and he picked up.
It's pretty cool.
Pretty cool move at the end of the night.
We'll never forget him.
Yeah.
because his name is
Gus.
How about that?
It was so weird.
We met another Gus.
He said, "I'm Gus." I said, "What are you
like,
making fun
no,
of me?"
that's me. So there you have it. And that was after he paid for our tab. So number 5, share and give feedback. So, something that I think happens a lot when we get into our jobs, we're busy, we're focusing on just trying to do our best, but we don't take the time to ask for feedback. So, or give feedback, because sometimes a lot of times you're going to be in a situation where somebody needs a little help, maybe a small correction in what they're doing that could make a really big difference in their job, in their volunteer situation, in their relationship. So I usually start by asking, would you like some feedback? And if they say no, I don't give it to them. But if they say yes, I try to find a very constructive way, which was essentially the way I would want to hear it, to give them some feedback and just share with them, like, that situation that you went into was really difficult and you handled it really well. Next time, here's what I might do a little bit differently. Or ask a question that they kind of think about and go, oh, okay, yeah, I didn't even realize that. It's another opportunity to show up as a leader.
We did that last week.
Did we?
We had a product that wasn't that.
We asked for feedback. Yes.
And we were blinded. We were blind as to what was going on with our product.
Well,
it was fine. It was awesome.
It was perfect. But I think that a great example is, like, if you're looking for a job and you've put together your resume and you stared at it 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 so much, you're, what did you call it? Like, blind to it?
Yeah, you're blind to it.
Yeah,
you don't
can't
see
even
what the
see
issue
it
is
anymore. You're like, I see it and here it is. Just take it.
And you might be missing a huge portion of it. Like, you might not put your volunteer, or I volunteered at the blah, 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 and 15 people worked for me for 3 days straight. And
that's a huge leadership situation.
That's a huge leadership.
And if you don't have it on your resume,
well, I didn't get paid for it. So people are, I didn't get paid for it.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
you
matter.
showed leadership. In fact, it's even bigger, right? Because it's volunteering. That's beautiful. It shows service. So, yeah.
Our mentor has said.
Yes.
One of our mentors has said.
Yes. People
will work harder for their charity than they will for themselves.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yes.
But it's a beautiful thing, because you can take that servitude, you can take that issue of service, that generosity, and put it toward what you want as your goal, and you'll have a bigger impact, which is why leadership is so important. So yes, share and give feedback. Hey, you did a great job. You did a great job.
Thank you. So did you.
Oh, thanks.
Sorry.
What's number 6?
The last one on the skills you have right now that you can use to show up as a better leader. And again, remember we talked about this would be 20 minutes to do this. We're going longer than 20 minutes to tell you about this. But the reality is you can do this for yourself in 20 minutes to move your leadership game up. Give generously. If you own a business, if you can give your product away one way or another, do that to get new business. Give to charities, give to things like that.
Absolutely. Give opportunities to help, opportunities to, even in your neighborhood, you may find that there are some folks here in your neighborhood who need your skills and need your talent. And if you can give some time to them, if you can give in-kind situations, it's a great way to show up as a leader, because you have something to offer and you're creating a win-win situation.
And that works up and down.
Yes.
What I mean by that, you can give to people who are at a higher level than you are. What I mean by that, if doesn't have to mean economically or socially, but if they have, they're performing up here at maybe baseball, you can give them something that they don't have a skill in, and you can give those people who need it, who are less fortunate than you are, or those who need a skill that you have, and bring it up. It goes sideways too. It goes all ways. Giving is probably one of the
definitely.
And people remember that.
I think so. And then what we do, and we both do this, we connect people. So I may not be in a position to help somebody with a job, but I may be be able to connect them with somebody who has a job. So that's another way of giving. I'm offering a couple of minutes of my time to connect to people who may not know each other, but may be incredibly valuable to each other.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
another
I mean,
example
yeah.
where it's not necessarily like, I don't have the money, I don't have the time. No, you probably do have the time to at least, help somebody connect with someone who has an opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's it for me.
That's it for me. That's our.
Thanks for joining us today.
Real quick, I was probably going to. We were talking about leadership, and we wanted to talk about being a leader and how you show up. And we tried to figure out what was the easiest way to get into this, because, as you know, there are probably 100,000 books written on leadership.
Ooh, we do have a few books that we really like, though. Do you want to mention them?
Yeah, I'll mention a couple books.
Okay.
So, a book that'll teach you some skills of becoming a leader. And it'll push you outside your comfort zone because it has real world skills to go out and try in public. The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. It's an interesting book, and I'll introduce you to some ideas you've not thought of before. Who else?
10X Rule.
10X Rule by Grant Cardone.
Fabulous book. Completely will shift how you look at things, and in a really good way, in a very empowering and exciting way. Any
book by John Maxwell.
Yes.
Pick your.
He is a master.
John is a master of leadership and scaling.
And I think the beautiful thing too with Maxwell is he does such a good job of distinction. There's just he distinguishes leadership skills and leadership qualities in a way that few others can.
Yeah. So, go on and on and on. I've got probably 50 business books.
We could, but
we got to go.
But thanks for joining
next time.
us.
And we will approach this topic maybe in a more granular detail in the future, because leadership is just so huge.
It's a big topic.
It's a big topic, and maybe we'll get more into the micros of it and talk how to actually lead.
Yes.
In effective ways in the language you use to lead.
Yes.
Stuff like
Ooh,
that.
I like that.
I like that too.
Cool. All
cool.
right.
All right.
Hey,
we got to roll. We will see you next
Yeah.
time, and thank you so much for your time.
Cheers. Have a great day.
You want to get Liz on the horn?
Yeah.